If you've listened to country music at all in the last few decades, you know his sound, even if you don't immediately know his name. On August 5th, 2026, the music world lost a true luminary. We lost a man whose delicate touch literally defined the sound of country music for generations. Today in this Explainer, we're diving into the incredible, enduring legacy of Tommy Detamore.
You see, Tommy's name wasn't exactly flashing in neon lights on the marquee out front, but make no mistake, his sound is universally recognized across modern country music. From those historic, hallowed stages of the past, all the way to the platinum-selling records of today's biggest stars, Tommy was the industry's secret weapon. When artists needed to find that perfect, undeniable country sound, he was the guy they called. He was, in every sense, the unseen architect of the music we love.
He was 70 years old when he passed. His wife of 41 years, Sandra, shared the heart-wrenching news, telling the world that Tommy had, in her beautiful words, went home to be with the Lord. Now, 70 years is a full lifetime for most of us, right? But when you stop and look at the sheer volume of art Tommy contributed to the world in that time, it genuinely feels like he lived multiple lifetimes in the studio and on the stage.
Now we have to talk about his instrument. The pedal steel guitar is famously, honestly, notoriously complex. It's like a giant puzzle. You don't just play it with your hands, you're using your feet, your knees, and most importantly, your heart. It's fascinating because Tommy actually started out just playing a regular guitar in high school back in Charlottesville, Virginia. It wasn't until college that he picked up the pedal steel. And he learned pretty quickly that mastering it requires way more than just technical, mathematical skill. You need a deep emotional connection to make that instrument truly sing. Or, let's be real, to make it cry.
But you don't just pick up a pedal steel and become a master overnight. Every master starts as a student, and Tommy actually came up under the wing of an absolute legend, Buddy Charlatan. Under Buddy's mentorship, Tommy developed that highly distinctive, super emotive touch he became known for. It wasn't just about where to place his hands, it was about learning how to channel raw feeling through metal strings in a slide. And because of that incredible foundation, by the late 1970s, Tommy was already a highly sought-after session player.
Let's trace how fast things actually moved for him once he committed to this craft. After spending the 70s honing his skills, he takes this massive leap of faith in 1981. He packs up, leaves Virginia, and heads to Texas to play steel guitar for Daryl McCall. And wow, did it pay off. Literally 1 year later, in 1982, he lands a massive gig as the mainstay steel guitar player for country star Moe Bandy. Talk about a man on a mission.
For the next 7 years, Tommy was out on the road, touring with Moe Bandy, playing for thousands upon thousands of fans every single night. But here's the thing that set him apart. He wasn't just playing notes on a page or filling empty space in a song. With every single slide of that bar, he was telling stories. He was taking heartbreak, joy, and longing and communicating them directly to the audience.
And we aren't just talking about local honky-tonks here. He was performing on the hallowed stage of the Grand Ole Opry. He brought his talent to the beloved national variety show Hee Haw, and he became a regular face on Nashville Now. These iconic national television and stage appearances were the building blocks of his legacy. He was proving night after night to the entire country music establishment that he was quite simply the best in the business.
So after years of grueling road life, 1991 rolls around and Tommy decides it's time to build something entirely his own. He founds Cherry Ridge Studio down in Floresville, Texas. This was a huge pivot. He essentially steps back from performing on stage and pours all that creative energy into engineering and producing. And what started as this local setup exploded into a highly sought-after recording destination for artists from Texas and far beyond.
Think about the sheer caliber of artists who relied on him over his 30-year studio career. We are talking about absolute titans of the genre. Ray Price, Johnny Bush, Ronnie Milsap, Robert Earl Keen, the Texas Tornadoes. When the absolute best in the business needed their records to sound flawless, they packed up and went to Floresville, Texas. It really showcases just how many country legends trusted Tommy's ear implicitly.
Okay, I absolutely love this next story. Beyond working with established legends, Tommy was a huge mentor to the newer generation. Country artist Sunny Sweeney actually gave him this unforgettable nickname, Tommy Jesus. I mean, how great is that? And the reason she called him that was because of his miraculous ability to fix literally anything musically. When he was producing her debut album, Heartbreakers Hall of Fame, she realized there was no musical problem he couldn't solve. He was just this steady, guiding hand, making everyone else's songs shine.
Now, you might be wondering, did his sound eventually get dated? Absolutely not.
his influence never faded. He stayed incredibly relevant right up to the end. Just recently, he was the master engineer on Ty Meyer's breakout 2025 album, The Select. And even more impressively, his family just celebrated another project he produced and played on that hit platinum-selling status. He was actively shaping modern country hits right up until his passing.
So when the news of his passing broke, the devastation across the industry was immediate and it was palpable. Emotional tributes just flooded in. Sunny Sweeney shared this absolutely heartbreaking message. And what makes it even more tragic is that she revealed they had just spoken on the phone a mere 3 days prior about a brand new project they were getting ready to start. The suddenness of it all just hit his collaborators incredibly hard.
In that same tribute, Sweeney added this line, and I think it hits the nail right on the head. His fingerprints are all over all of my music since day one. That is exactly why we consider him the unseen architect. You might go buy a Sunny Sweeney record, but you are actively listening to the genius of Tommy Detamore. He is permanently woven into the fabric of the final product.
And fellow country artist Jim Lauderdale echoed that collective grief perfectly. He mentioned struggling to find the right words, and that alone is a testament to how heavily the industry leaned on Tommy, not just as a musician, but as a core pillar of their musical family. You can really feel the weight of this loss rippling across the entire tight-knit country music community.
But out of all the tributes, this one from his wife, Sandra, is without a doubt the most devastatingly beautiful. She captures the duality of the man so perfectly here. She acknowledges his professional titan status, the mentor, the creative force, but she anchors the whole thing with the love of my life. Behind the mixing boards and the steel guitars, he was a deeply, deeply loved family man.
Sandra followed it up with this thought, and it encapsulates his life's work flawlessly. Tommy's true legacy was always about elevating the artists around him. He didn't use his God-given gifts to put himself in the spotlight. He used them to lift others up. He shaped the very sound of country music we hear today simply by making sure the artists he worked with sounded the absolute best they possibly could.
Now, Tommy did receive plenty of formal accolades during his life, including an induction into the Steel Guitar Hall of Fame, which is an incredible honor reserved only for absolute masters of the instrument. But his legacy, it's about so much more than the plaques hanging on his studio wall. The awards are great, sure, but the music itself is his true monument.
I saw a fan beautifully describe him as a walking history book, and man, that feels exactly right. Tommy's life was defined by being this steady, reliable studio hand who played purely for the love of the craft, never for the fame. He was a literal bridge between the classic era of country and the modern platinum hits of today. And losing that historical knowledge, that innate musical intuition, it's going to be felt across the genre for a very long time.
Tommy Detamore may be gone, but his music, the very sound of country music itself, is going to live on forever. He was the sound behind the stars. So the next time you're driving, listening to a country song, and you hear that perfect, heartbreaking cry of a steel guitar fading out in the background, ask yourself, is that the lasting echo of Tommy Detamore? Because chances are, it's his influence, still inspiring generations of musicians. Thanks for exploring his incredible legacy with me today, and keep listening closely to the music.